Hello, everyone. Welcome to Making It Real. Today on the show, I have brought back the wonderful Sebastian Hilbert. Sebastian, thanks for joining us.
Very, very happy to be with you, Kiki.
And this is actually the start of an ongoing series. We've decided that we wanted to get more of the insights that Sebastian was sharing. We've had such wonderful feedback from the first video that we did together that we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this wellness client autopilot goodness that he has created. So we are going to be sharing a video each and every month, really going through the process and the steps of what this entails, so that you can really have a full holistic understanding of Sebastian's knowledge in this area. And for those of you who are just joining in for the first time and are not familiar with Sebastian, he's the co-founder of Wellnesspreneur and leading authority in wellness influence training. And he helps wellness professionals and holistic practitioners to get high-paying clients on autopilot, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And he says that he does this so that they can be in the fun and flow with their business. So this is going to be an awesome episode and a really fundamental one. Is that correct, Sebastian?
Yeah, so we're going to dive into the basic infrastructure and how to build, how to handle growth and how to build a business that is scalable and profitable. So we kind of get that big picture overview.
Perfect. I can't wait to begin. And I guess I'll pass it over to you to take the lead from here.
Very good. Awesome, Kiki. Well, I'm really, really excited to have this opportunity again to do this ongoing series because I think it's so important that we find more ways to help and also get people not just like an over a big picture view, but also then showing them how they can actually do something in their business. Because I think we have that a lot. We get a lot of information from a lot of people, and we talk about that a little bit today as well. And then often it's like, yeah, I get that. I want to do this, and then you start, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, but I actually don't know how to what are the details
Actually
here?
execute on the granular details.
Exactly, execute on the granular details. I love that. So true. So what we want to talk about today, and let me share my iPad. I love using my iPad. It maybe not, well, it's not, my drawings obviously are very, very pretty. But I just love that I can interact with the screen a little bit. And I think it's very important. I guess what I'm saying is to really listen and like for those who are watching this, grab a piece of paper, work with me, draw this with me. When we get to the actually Autopilot ecosystem, I'll show you the model. And so you have that for yourself and you can really get in there and understand the granular detail, the nitty gritty of things. I think that's very, very important. And because you can see me working on the screen, basically, it's much easier for you to do that. So I think it'd be really great. Okay, so what we want to talk about today is what we call the wellness product ecosystem, and it's basically an ecosystem that enables you to understand, okay, what can I actually automate? Where does that autopilot that we talk about actually sit? And how does it connect my marketing efforts with my sales, basically? That's really where the autopilot sits. And when we draw the model, we will be able to see that. But what it really focuses on is how to build a highly profitable, and I think this is so important to understand it. One part of our business, what we sell, one product, as we say, usually it's for practitioners, it's a program that they offer. It needs to be highly profitable because if we don't have that, it's very hard to really make the impact and become the leader that you want to be. As we know, without having the right means financially, we can't really make the impact that we want to help as many people. What's your view on that, Kitty? Like in terms of money mindset and
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned, I automatically think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And we're, as wellness practitioners, we really want to help people not only, in their health and wellness from a concrete perspective, but really so that they can use that health and wellness and grow and develop spiritually and on all of these higher levels. And how can we do that if we're not supported and we're not financially abundant and just feel grounded and supported as practitioners? And I think we're preaching that, to live your best ever life, and you need means in order to do that. And so we need to accept that we deserve those means, and if we're giving value to clients, then that value should be reciprocated, and it's an exchange.
Is an exchange. So true, yeah. And I always love to bring up that example of Mother Teresa. When she passed away, she had $1 million in her bank account, right?
Wow, I never
Oh,
knew
it's an
that.
interesting fact, isn't it? And it's because she knew that for what she needed to do, she needed money, right? She
Mm,
needed a financial abundance to make that happen. And I
yeah.
think that's so important to understand. So we need to get ourselves out of the way. And in terms of we talk about spirituality and all these things, and make sure that this highly profitable doesn't mean greed. It means impact, and it means helping more people. You know.
Love that.
Very good, very good. Okay, so let's get ourselves in there. I think first, what I like to do is to really understand a couple of problems that we're facing right now in the wellness industry. I think also kind of generally in the world, and why is it so important to find a marketing system and a model for our business that enables us to do what we need to do and what we want to do, what the desired impact that we want to make. And the first one is that we constantly face changes right now in the online space, right? Like Facebook is changing their algorithm constantly. Google does the same. There's new tools and new strategies, new trainers, mentors, people like me, right, entering the market, and there's so much going on constantly, and it's really really hard to keep up with that. And because I know as a wellness practitioner, as a therapist, you want to do what you love doing, which is helping people and executing the modality and not really keeping up with those changes, right? The other part is that there's lots of noise out of there. We're constantly bombarded with sales messages, so we need to find a way of how can we cut through that. So how can we have something that's kind of timeless, and how can we cut through the constant noise? They say like we have several thousand sales messages are being thrown at us when the average person drives to work in a bigger city, right? Several thousand messages. What did we learn? We learned to filter those messages, right? Our brain is now able to just kind of exclude that kind of input. And if you would ask someone when they arrive at work or come home from work after their commute, what sales messages they remember, 99% of the time they had no idea, right? Because we learned to filter it out. And then we also face a high skepticism online. So what does it mean? Like if we see something, we think like, that's great. I think that could help me. But then it's like, but I don't really have the trust for that person who delivers that, or that company, or that brand, but then actually say, okay, I'm going to sign up, or I'm going to spend some money, or I have that talk. I think these are the things that we face. So we need to come up with solutions. And I mentioned that before already. It's something that is timeless, but also authentic, right? So if we have something that is true to who we are and what we do, then that's something that doesn't really is impacted that much by those fast changes out there. We kind of can adapt, and we can use that core language, as we often talk it, on our core why all the time, and we just adapt to whatever is out there. And the second thing is that we need to have something that is cut through like a spear, right? So instead of kind of as a practitioner trying to get a whole wide range of people, we want to really get clear with not only who we are, but also with who we want to work with. And the clearer we can get on that, the more we can be like a spear and cut through all the noise out there and really engage and pique interest with the people that we want to have in our business. Does that make sense so far, Kiki? Like, yeah, totally. Awesome. And the third thing is that we need a system, and that's what we are really big on, right? So the system that then not only attracts, but also converts the people that we pique interest with, right? So if we have that why, our core target strategy, and we have that message that cuts through like a spear and really engages with the right people, which is most or a lot of our marketing efforts, and it comes a lot down to what we do in our advertising and in our social media and all these things. And we talk about how that feeds into that system as well today. But that is a bit useless if we don't have a clear strategy in how to convert these leads or those people who showing some interest into an actual client. It's not about getting a whole bunch of followers and a big email list and get this massive amount of people coming in. It's actually about, first of all, working out what's that system that if I get someone, and it can be 1, 2, maybe just 5 or 10, if I know and I have a strategy in a system, a marketing system that where I know I convert 3 out of 5 into a client that pays for a highly profitable product, I don't need that massive exposure at the beginning. Like I can create those core systems and I can build first a strong foundation for my business. And then I can look at, okay, like how can I use advertising, all the other things to grow and really make the impact that I want to make and become the leader that I want to be. And I can decide how big that's what do you mean? Like how big I want that to be.
And I love that that realization, or that you're pointing that out around just not having a billion followers, because I think maybe it's just me as a female millennial, but I think that's just like the goal, right? It's just, oh my God, how many people on Instagram can I get to love me and like my posts? But as you mentioned, like if you have 100 followers and out of them, 20-30% convert to high ticket sales, then you're golden. And versus a lot of influencers that I know that might have 30, 40, 50K followers, but if there isn't any sort of clear system in how they're actually bringing them in or making money from them, then it's in a way worthless.
Absolutely. And you always need to remember that nobody got famous also for wanting to be famous, right? They all got famous because they had something that really made an impact, that changed lives, that impacted lives, that moved the hearts and souls of a lot of people, and that other people picked up, and that's how they grew. So that core system and working that out and building your capacity for that growth is really, really important. And that's what we want to dive into now over the next let's say 15 minutes or so. Sounds good?
Amazing. Let's do it.
Okay. That's the system, the wellness product ecosystem that we want to talk about. Now, the wellness product ecosystem, you can see that I have put a little heart over here and it says magic. And I think it's very important to understand that all of these the whole system, all of the things that we'll map out here now is all based and needs to come from your magic. So what you love doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and that attraction language that you use with your clients, it needs to flow into all of this. I think that it's just gonna wanna pre-phrase that is so important. That's where you need to start at, and that's also, as far as I remember, what our second session next month's going to be, to work that out. Like what's really that magic, and we dive into that. And I'm just going to rephrase that here, that is kind of underlying and throughout all of this. Okay, so what does the wellness product ecosystem look like? And I really recommend for everyone to now, if you haven't gotten out your piece of paper yet, to get it now and write wellness product ecosystem at the top. And Kiki is doing the same. That's awesome.
Why not, right?
Why not? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? And draw your little heart and write magic. I think that's always good to have that to remember that. And then you draw, as I have here, a my goodness, what do you call this? It's not a diagram. It's a two-axis.
It's a chart, no?
Yeah, chart, a diagram, right? Yeah,
Chart.
get caught up on the little things. Okay, so we've got money on the. So this is supposed to be a dollar symbol. We got money over here, and we've got time down here. Now, in the middle, I usually draw this, and that's just to keep your brain engaged. And because you don't know what that is, just draw it in the middle of the ecosystem, kind of cutting it in half. And then think about that. We basically, what we want to do here is we want to map out our client journey. Client journey. Because this is really what will enable you to find the right people, engage them in a way where you don't need to be pushy or salesy. And then when they are ready to take the next step and actually wanting to talk to you, they are basically pre-sold, as we like to call them. They are pre-sold customers. Yeah. So you just clarify a few things, and they already know, like, and trust you, and so they start working with you. So that's what we want to map out, because when we understand that, then we can find systems and automations and really use the online space to enhance that and automate things and build that client autopilot. Yeah. So somewhere over here, it starts at 0, and the first thing we always want to provide, which is like the first major stepping stone, is a freebie. I'm just going to write an F in here, which is the freebie. Now, we all know that it's like a free download on the 5 steps on how to get fit and healthy. You obviously want to find some better marketing, right? We had, for instance, someone recently who wanted to sell a detox program. So we created a downloadable on what to do before going on a detox, right? So it's a kind of the step before you kind of re-engineer it back from what you actually want to sell. It's usually a good way to start with your freebie. Now, once someone gets that, we recommend you have like what we call an entry product. So the freebie someone can get for a name and an email. And the entry product we recommend, as a rule of thumb, needs to be less than $500. Now, that can either be an online course for $200-300, or it can also be a webinar for that goes for 1.5 hours, but it's free. As long as it's more of a commitment than just a name and an email. Right? You need a bit more of commitment. That can be time or money, or time and money. But it usually they recommend less than $500. So it's something where I'm like, okay, I'm giving that a go without having to spend a month worth of my wages, type of thing. Yeah. So it needs to be something I can, decide depending on your market. Something that your market decides, okay, I'm just can give this a go. Now, what this does, it sets your people up to then be ready to get to the next step, which is the feature product, as we call it. Now that feature product, again, as a rule of thumb, needs to be more than $1,000. And that's really important because, as I said before, you need to have something that's highly profitable. So that usually I work with clients. I usually work out a program that's $2,500 to $2,500 to $5,000. Goes over, usually 12 weeks, about 3 months. So it's about $1,000 a month. That type of thing. And that is because we want to have that highly profitable product, and that enables us to really grow and build a bigger system, bigger business. And then the fourth step is the after sale. And that is something that is usually a maintenance type of thing, right? So I have clients who most of their money actually comes from the after sales. They have like a setup where the clients pay a monthly rate, and then they can book in as many sessions as they want during that time. So it's like a flat rate type of thing. But because he has a certain availability, and because he he knows that maybe usually people at the beginning, they need a lot of help, but then it's kind of a maintenance. They don't need as much. So they may only book like in one a month. Sometimes they need a bit more, they do two, but most of the money comes through that. And that's because it's highly scalable, and they've been through a journey, and he can sell that basically for a really, really profitable price, because those people know, like, and trust him. They really love him, right? So if we look at profit, it looks a bit like this, right? It's really flat, it's really low on the left-hand side, and then goes straight up on the right-hand side. So that is profit. But as we also said at the beginning, it's very important to remember, with profit comes impact. This is where you make your real impact, where you create this transformation. Now, always, anything that is a high-ticketed item needs to be sold, right? Nobody's going to buy a $3,000 program based on a landing page. No matter how good the landing page and how fancy it is, nobody's going to buy it. Would you buy something for $3,000 on a landing page, Kiki?
Most definitely not.
That's right?
When I make as much money as we're going to after, doing the wellness product ecosystem, maybe I will, because I'll just be so abundant. But until then,
on the program, yeah, absolutely. But but even if you have the money, right, you still want to find out if that person who you're gonna work with actually aligns with you,
absolutely.
right? And that's because and as everyone else, if that person doesn't align with you, it's going to be really hard to implement and make changes in your life, because you don't really gel with that person, right? You don't really get an impact. So what we always need is what we call a clarity conversation. This is basically your sales conversation, right? So CC, clarity conversation. We call it a clarity conversation because when someone goes through this product ecosystem, they are what we call pre-sold, right? So if they downloaded the freebie, they read they read the two free or maybe 5-page page document, then they did a webinar or did a quick online course. They already know how you do things. They maybe seen you and have consumed your content on social media. So they feel like they already know you. Now I have that a lot when I am in a conversation with someone. I've never seen them before, but the feeling is like I kind of know them already. Like they're coming, oh, hi Sebastian, so good to see you. It's like, oh, hi. But because they feel like they know me since they have seen so many videos and posts and downloadables from me, that it's simply about getting some clarity on a few things on how to actually work with them or work with us. And it's almost like flipping it around. It's like me interviewing them. I'm providing a lot of value, but I'm also interviewing them to see, okay, can I actually make that impact? Is that person someone I want to work with? Is that person someone I can really help? Or do I need to point that person maybe in a different direction? Maybe I need to I can refer them to someone or get them back to an online course because they're not really quite, they need to create some basics first and things like that, right? So it's about getting clarity and providing value. That's why we call this a clarity conversation. Now,
and is that generally
yeah.
one conversation? And is there any tips that you'd provide in terms of like, make sure you get them on Zoom? Like, should it be a certain time length? And is it kind of that one make or break, or do you generally find that most practitioners actually need to have a couple?
Yeah. Okay, that's a very, very good question, and that will be actually will be a part of our series where we really dive into that.
Boom.
But it's it's very, very important to. I think it's very good to quickly explain a couple of things around that. First is like we recommend a two-step process. So the first step is like a really short one. We recommend a qualifying call, a 15-minute max qualifying call that's literally about finding out where they're at, where they want to be, and how you can get them there. So getting them the clarity on like this gap in between now and the future, and then finding out if they are ready and committed to solve that gap, basically to make that move. Now, once you have that established, that first of all gives them a whole lot of clarity and value because they got this clarity. And secondly, you then can say, okay, now I have someone who's committed to make a change. Now I get them into a longer conversation, 30 to 45 minutes, where I explain the whole process to them, like what is actually involved in the feature product. It's a weekly session. This is what we do in the first session. This is what we do in the second session. These are the things that we're aiming to do. This is the support you're going to get. And you dive into the logistics of what you're doing. But I think that two-step process works really well. And if you do it right, that's usually all you need. But it's also important to, like what we come to now, is that you only talk to people who've been through this process over here, right? So where profit is, when we look at profit is really low on this left-hand side. So if you have these people, you need less. Most make this mistake, and those practitioners who need a lot of conversations are the ones who don't have a system in place to create pre-sold customers. That's when you like kind of chase one sale at a time, when you have lots of coffee catch up, and you may even do it in person, and you drive in half an hour to the place where you talk to them, and then talk to them an hour and drive a half an hour back. By the time you get back into work, 2.5 hours are lost. You do it 3 or 4 times and you finally get a sale, right? So I've seen that a lot, and that's really hard work, and it's exhausting and frustrating, especially when in the end the sale actually doesn't come through. So systemizing the process and making it part of your whole marketing system will eliminate that. So now we talked about the autopilot. Now the autopilot sits here. This is really the power of online marketing, right? This customer journey over here, we can automate. Autopilot. So that all the marketing efforts that are put out there, this journey that converts them to a pre-sold customer and then gets them to book in the conversation, I can completely put on autopilot. Now, that involves my social media, that involves an email nurture sequence. So like if someone signs up to a freebie, we get them and we nurture and educate them further. And we talk about that as well in our series, how we can do that best to then get them to sign up for the entry product. And then we want to have a pathway for them to continue being nurtured to then sign up in an online calendar to book in that clarity conversation or that qualifying call, that first qualifying step. Now, always remember, like this autopilot is the same as in an airplane, right? An autopilot in an airplane doesn't just, you don't sit in an airplane, the pilot goes in and presses autopilot and it takes off, flies and lands. You still have to do the takeoff manually, go through all the trouble and the ups and downs that we all know, and then you put it on autopilot. So that is like, and then you take it off again and land the airplane. And this is the same as here, right? So we need to take off and put in the efforts through our different marketing channels, then once we have people on the airplane, we hit autopilot, let them do their thing, watch the movie when they want, take their snacks when they want. You don't need to be push your salesy here. And then whenever they're ready, then we can land the plane and get them to book in the clarity conversation. I think that's very important to understand. It's not like a putting in the autopilot and lean back and don't do anything anymore, but to understand that this is about automating that journey. But what that does is like you can tap into a whole nother market. You don't just tap into those who are ready to buy right now, but those who are actually just problem aware and don't really know yet. And you just show them through, you may have partnerships that you do to get people onto the airplane, to engage people. You do your social media, you have your website. So these are just different marketing channels that people have and can have, and that we also teach to get people on the airplane, basically, right? So get people started on the journey. Another one is events, so going on podcasts, doing webinars, webinar series like we do here, right? There's so many things, cross interviews that you can do to get yourself out there. And then last one is advertising. That's the last one for a reason, because all of the marketing channels always need to focus on the first step, right? If I have that free thing in front and center through all my marketing channels, I get much more people in than saying, hey, book in a clarity conversation. But if I go and do a cross interview and then say like, hey, whoever wants to know more, book in a conversation with me, very hard sell. It's like basically asking someone to marry you on the first date, as I like to often say, right? It doesn't, you may get lucky sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't work, right? So we need to put in a little bit more effort. Now, the difference between dating and your business is that you can actually put that nurturing, that engaging with those people on scale on an autopilot. Right? So when we establish this, what happens is something like this. You do your social media, you create partnerships, you have your website, and through that, you after a while, you realize, okay, over a month, I get 100 people to download my freebie. And I know from those 100 people, let's say, usually it's about 20, like 15 to 20%, somewhere around that mark, who then get your entry product. So let's say 15. Worst case scenario. 15 watch your webinar, 15 access your 21-day challenge. Also very important, we had these like all these Facebook challenges that we see out there, and the webinars and all these, where they actually sit. This is an educational activity, not a get more people into my network activity. Very important to understand. It's for those who are already with you or already part of your tribe, to further educate and nurture them, so that some of them who are ready then book in a clarity conversation. So let's say out of the 15, let's say 4, about 3 to 4% from like people who download book in a clarity conversation. And now from those, let's say 2 buy your high ticketed item at $1,000 a pop. Now the whole thing becomes fun. Right? Now the whole thing, like I actually understand my business numbers now. I actually understand what I need to do to make sales. Most of the people just running around and throwing a few things out here and there and hoping that they get clients for it. Now that's not running a business. That's just hoping, a hope and luck strategy. Very difficult to do. So when I have established those numbers for my business, then I can go, okay, so what do I need to pay to get those 100 downloads? because I know from those 100 downloads, I make $2,000. So I have a few costs of those $2,000, of course, but maybe my my profit, maybe if I haven't, it depends if I'm online, it's probably all profit. But if I may have a practice or obviously other different costs, so maybe it's $1,500 that comes out of that. Now, anything really that costs me anything under $1,500 to get the 100 makes sense because I still make a profit, right? But I guess it's not so much about like what the actual numbers here are, because they are very different for different businesses, but it's about getting this system in place, creating your baseline numbers, and with that actually have the infrastructure and the capacity of creating something measurable and repeatable for my business. So I know actually what happens when sales go up and down. I can do something about it, and I can drive sales consistently through my business and make the profit and the impact that I desire.
Amazing. It also takes it sounds like it's taking the risk out of advertising and sort of just that scary unknown at throwing money at, Facebook or Instagram. It can seem like you're kind of just, taking this wild guessing game, but when you see the formula, it no longer becomes scary to think of, okay, well, I'm going to spend, $1,000 on Facebook ads this month. It just becomes, and therefore I'm going to make X dollars. So
absolutely, like it becomes actually like a tap, right? So that's really what I love to see in businesses is when, okay, now this month, we're starting a new campaign on XYZ. This month we want to make this amount of sales. We need new sales, like let's say $10,000 this month or $5,000 or whatever it is for your business. Okay, we need to spend X amount of money to make those sales within the next 30 or 60 days. And when that happens, that's when you get more stable, more consistent, and have a real understanding of how your business systems really work. Build their capacity for growth.
Love it.
Cool.
Amazing.
That's it. So that's the wellness product ecosystem. As I said, over the next through our series, we would dive into, okay, how do I create this sales process so it fits in? How do I build out this autopilot? How do I create make sure that my magic is in everything in that? So meaning like when I build out the landing pages and the thank you pages and all of these different things to actually make that work, and also the social media, my website and so on, that I have the right language in there. And so we, at the end of the 6-month series, you're really able to have that autopilot and your wellness product ecosystem in place to create those baseline numbers and grow and be able to have the capacity to grow your business.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sebastian. So as you mentioned, next month, we're going to be diving into just that, client attraction language. So we'll be here again in the next month. If you want to connect with us, I can be reached through the Meal Garden Instagram. You can DM us. Sebastian, did you want to just share quickly how people can find and connect with you, just in case over the next month they have some further questions?
Yeah, I think the easiest is to simply go on your social platform and search for Wellnesspreneur. That's really the easiest thing to do. You will find our Facebook group, Influential Wellnesspreneurs, where we hang out and we teach all kinds of different things around the wellness product ecosystem. That's our core. That's everything like works towards that, building it in a business. And I think we clearly see now why. There's a Facebook page, there's a LinkedIn profile. So that's really the easiest. Whatever platform you like, that's easiest to find us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Thank you, Kiki. Till next time.